Hey, welcome to The Explainer. Today we are diving into something I think we can all use, a powerful, practical guide for turning those really frustrating setbacks into your biggest strengths. We're going to pull some amazing insights from clinician Dr. Takasu and commentator Hiroyuki to build a simple two-step plan for instant recovery and, maybe more importantly, long-term resilience. You know that feeling, right? You make one mistake at work, just one, and suddenly it's all you can think about. It just replays in your head over and over and completely tanks your whole day. It is so frustrating, so draining, and it feels impossible to shake. But what if you could break that cycle in just a few minutes? So here's the game plan. First, we'll talk about the psychological trap that gets us stuck in the first place. Then, we'll get right into an immediate fix for a quick mental reset. After that, we're going to shift gears and look at a huge mindset shift, treating failure as fuel. We'll see how powerful your story can be, and finally, look at how you can start writing your next chapter.
Okay, so first things first. Why do we get so completely hung up on one negative thing? Well, it all starts with a very, very common mental state.
Dr. Takasu calls this Shia Kyosaku, which basically means tunnel vision. And that's exactly what it feels like. When you're in this state, that one mistake can feel like the absolute end of the world, because in your mind, it's the only thing in your world. You completely lose all sense of proportion. And the cost here is huge. Dr. Takasu is really clear about this. Spending hours or even days beating yourself up isn't just a waste of time. It actually hurts your confidence and tanks your performance on the next thing you have to do. It becomes this awful downward spiral. So how do you break out of that spiral? Like right now? Let's get to the first part of our tutorial, an emergency technique for an immediate mental reset. Think of this as mental first aid. This is a super simple 3-step method from Dr. Takasu. First, you don't ignore the mistake, you just acknowledge it. Yep, it happened. Second, and this is the key move, you deliberately imagine a scenario that is catastrophically, ridiculously worse. And third, you look at your actual situation next to that imaginary disaster, and you realize, okay, this is actually manageable. This is how you make it real. Dr. Takasu gives a couple of great examples. Let's say you made a mistake at work that cost the company 100,000 yen. That feels awful. But now, just for a second, imagine making a mistake that cost them 100 times million yen. Or, you scratched your car. So annoying. But compare that to causing a fatal accident. See? The comparison doesn't make the problem disappear, but it instantly shrinks it down to its real, manageable size. The whole point of this little exercise is to get you to this one thought. Okay, this sucks, but I'm really glad it wasn't worse than this. That one sentence, that's the sound of your perspective snapping back into place. It's the click that breaks you out of tunnel vision so you can actually move forward. Now, Dr. Takasu adds a really crucial warning here. This is a tool to get your momentum back so you can learn from what happened and improve. It is not an excuse to get comfortable with messing up. Saying, well, I got a 30 on the test, but at least it wasn't a 0. That's just making excuses. The whole point is to get back on your feet so you can do better next time. So that's the emergency fix. But for a real long-term change, we need to shift our whole mindset. And that brings us to commentator Hiroyuki's philosophy on how to turn failure into your greatest asset. This is such a powerful idea. The events in our lives, they're really just raw data. The meaning, the impact they have on us, it all comes from the story we decide to tell about them. You are the narrator here. And this example just nails the difference. Let's take Hiroyuki's story of losing money to a scam. You have two choices. You can frame it as a complaint. I lost 300,000 yen, I'm an idiot, life is terrible. That just drains you and everyone around you. Or you can reframe it as a hilarious story. Oh my God, you have to see the useless thing I paid 300,000 yen for. It's ridiculous. It's the same event, but one pushes people away and the other pulls them in. Hiroyuki calls this the comedian's mindset, and it is a total game changer. For a comedian, a terrible, embarrassing, or just plain frustrating experience isn't a problem. It's an asset. It's literally material for their best jokes. They instinctively see a setback not as an ending, but as the beginning of a great story. And listen, this isn't just some clever trick to tell better stories at parties. This ability to reframe your failures connects to one of the deepest truths about what makes us happy. To really get why, we need to talk about a huge study from Harvard University. It's one of the longest-running studies on adult life ever done. We're talking over 70 years. And after all those decades, tracking thousands of people from every walk of life, the conclusion was just crystal clear. The number one thing that predicts lifelong happiness and well-being, it wasn't money, it wasn't fame or career success. It was the strength and quality of a person's close relationship. And this is where everything we've talked about clicks into place. Like Horoyuki says, nobody really wants to hang out with someone who only ever complains. But we all love someone who has a good story to tell. By turning your failures into funny stories, you're not just making yourself feel better, you are actively building the one thing science says leads to a happy life: strong, positive connections with other people. So we have two really powerful tools now. We have Dr. Takasu's method for that instant mental reset, and we have Hiroyuki's mindset for turning any setback into a story that actually builds connection. Now it's just about putting it into practice. So the next time you mess up, and you will, we all do, first, use that worst-case scenario trick to get your perspective back. Then, once the sting wears off a little, ask yourself this question: is this going to be a complaint that just drags me down? Or is this the start of a really good story? Look for the absurd part, the lesson you learned the hard way, the little detail that makes you laugh about it now. That's the heart of the story you'll be telling your friends for years. The choice is always yours.